He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Good to see you here on 103.1. You may be listening on Facebook, either at the SuperTalk Gulf Coast Facebook page or the SuperTalk Mississippi's Facebook page. You can also see us at the SuperTalk YouTube page and any of your favorite podcasts. We play in the mornings at 9 and then again in the afternoons at 1. So, there's a lot of ways to touch Coast View and the way we celebrate coastal Mississippi. Have something I want to share with you. This is from John Mayer, the musician John Mayer, and he said this: "If you're pretty, you're pretty, but the only way to be beautiful is to be loving. Otherwise, it's just congratulations about your face." I thought that was pretty good, and it's true, man. Some people might be pretty on the outside, but some people aren't very pretty on the inside. And I know a lot of beautiful people, and I don't care what they look like. They just are amazing people. My friend Susan Griggs posted this: "The hard part isn't getting your body in shape. The hard part is getting your mind in shape." We talk about that all the time on Coast View about, just trying to think through how to get you where you can be goal focused and change your point of view, because so much negativity in this world. Coast View is about positivity and about trying to, push things forward in a way that give you the chance to feel hopeful about things as they go forward. Speaking of hope, I have a good friend who's one of the most hopeful people I know, is Ashley Edwards. He's the CEO of the Gulf Coast Business Council, and he's going to join me now. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm doing great, Ricky. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Hey, listen, we got a lot to talk about today. We haven't caught up in a while, but I was on the phone with someone the other day, and I was looking out my back. I live on Back Bay, and there was a bald eagle and an osprey sparring with each other, man. I mean, watching those two birds fly, it looked like the eagle had the upper hand. Incidentally, I posted that video at the Ricky Mathews Coast View Facebook page if you want to see it. Ed Scherzer, who is works for the Hurricane Hunters, posted on the site. He said, "Air Force versus Marines on the same team, but always making each other better." Thought that was an interesting way to say it. But man, just one of many sights. I see a lot more bald eagles these days. See, obviously ospreys have always been sort of a staple in coastal Mississippi, but even see more of those. But man, we're lucky to live here and be able to see those sights, aren't we?
We're lucky, and it's amazing you mentioned the bald eagles. I have actually seen a lot more lately than I have historically. I don't know if I'm noticing them more or if we really are seeing an uptick in the population, but driving across the bridge from Hancock County over into Slidell on the big power lines that are up there, you see some bald eagles nests actually sitting up there. So it is kind of amazing that we live in this place, and people have to walk outside their door sometime and just take in all the things that are around us. I pinch myself sometimes because I forget. We get in this sort of day-to-day grind, and then the monotony of everything going on day to day, and then you get out and you sit on the beach and you just get in silence for a few minutes, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible. I remember back in the first week of Coast View, the very, very first week, I had Rick Carter and Terry Green from the Island View. I had just a awesome conversations. That video has been viewed thousands of times. It's funny, it's inspiring, a hell of a story. But one of the things we talked about, both Rick and Terry obviously traveled all over the world, and we talked about, is there any other place in the world where you could see prettier sunrises or prettier sunsets? So it's just something about the way we're oriented here. It's just most beautiful sunsets and sunrises in the world, in my opinion. Don't you feel the same way?
Well, I think the other thing that's really amazing about our market, and when you go to coastal markets around the United States, very few of them have the kind of uninterrupted public beach that we have. Most of the beach side is privately owned, and really most of the coastline around America that's developed. And what a special thing we have here, not to have condos and private owners that are all built on the south side of Highway 90 where you can't see the water. I mean, it really is kind of an anomaly when you look at coastal markets across the United States. We have something really special.
Yeah, in fact, I remember after Katrina, someone said, I don't know if it's exactly true, but it may be very true, that there's only one other community in South Carolina. I don't remember the community where you can drive a long stretch of beach where the view, to the beach is unencumbered, where there are live oaks that line the beach. What a special. That's why, hey man, that's why when cruising the coast happens here, people who come here from all over the country, they can't wait to come back again because it's just so darn unique. Something that's easy for us to take for granted, isn't it?
Well, people who are not classic car enthusiasts, I mean, they see cruising and it's always a lot of fun. We get to see a lot of cars on our roads, but it is absolutely incredible to see the economic impact that a event like that has. I think a lot of people don't really fully grasp just how important an event like that is for our economy. And, as we continue to move forward, these types of events, that's a place where we can see really tremendous growth. I mean, the Mississippi Gulf Coast is positioned to host more of these types of events. And, hats off to all the folks who obviously created Cruising the Coast and the people that are involved in making it as good as it is now. But it's just one of the great events in the country, and it has huge impact for our local businesses.
It really does. By the way, have you gotten your second shot yet, or you got your first shot yet?
Yeah. I have gotten my second, actually. So I'm now in my post second shot period. Didn't have any trouble with any of them, and I am just best shot I've ever taken. I've never been more glad to take a shot in my entire life. But it went really smoothly. I mean, that's another place you got to kind of say hats off because Mississippi has done this pretty well, getting the vaccine rolled out and wide availability. We're in certainly better shape than a lot of the other states in the union, just in terms of our ease of access to get the vaccine.
Yeah, we've done a real good job with that. I'll actually share some numbers here in just a second. Let's see, first shot, sore arm, second shot, sore arm, and I felt a little woozy for about 24 hours. I had previously had COVID, so they said if you had COVID, the second shot is as your immune system started getting reset, that you could have a bit of a reaction. I did, but I got up Sunday morning and felt great. I got mine Friday. Incidentally, I wanted to tell this story. I went up to the community road, Singing River Hospital, to get mine. And boy, the first time I went there, my wife Ann had kind of given me a heads up that it was extraordinarily efficient, the way that they, took you through the process. So I got my shot the first time. So I was headed back there Friday. My show went a little late. So I got there just as they were, shut everything down. So I missed getting my second shot at that moment. So got in my car, I was still in my truck, started riding back towards Cedar Lake near where I live, and thought, well, I'll call the Cedar Lake Singing River Health System. They have an outpatient or urgent care, whatever you call it there. And I called and they said, well, tomorrow's Good Friday, so they're not going to be giving shots on Friday, but they could do it on Monday. And I thought, well, I really want to get it done today if I can. So I called back up to Community Road. A very nice woman named Carol answered the phone. And she said, come on back up here. Where are you now? So I'm at the Wool Market exit. She said, turn around, come back up here, park in the driveway, and just come on in the front door, and then I'll get someone to come give you a shot. So I did. I mean, she had no idea who I was. I just a guy looking for a shot. I walked in. The nice lady, Carol, behind the desk said, are you the guy looking for a second shot? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay, hang on 1 second. And it was just a couple of minutes, and two nice nurses came out. They did the paperwork. I signed the form. She gave me the second shot. And man, it was five minutes, and I was out of there. Of course, I had to wait the 15 minutes, of course. But anyway, it was just such a great experience. And it's good to see, it's companies, hospital system, so many are so eager to give us our shots. To accommodate me that way, that was a hell of an experience. Have you been hearing stories like that?
Have been. I actually got my shots through the health department process, where they had the public health areas opened up where they were doing the vaccines, and it was the Mississippi National Guard members that were doing it. That's kind of interesting to see. To be able to deploy the National Guard and have them getting shots in people's arms. Super efficient. Didn't have to wait very long at all. They the process moved very quickly, and what a great thing. I mean, I'll tell you, it's you hear some of this about vaccine tourism and the fact that you've got some easy ability to get a shot here in Mississippi, and folks may be coming from other states. And there's been some debate about, well, do we want that to happen or not? And I say absolutely, bring them on. If we have excess capacity and we have the ability to do that, let's have people come to Mississippi and get it done. Maybe spend a few dollars while they're here.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. So as of Sunday, 106.2 million people have received at least one dose. 61.4 million have been fully vaccinated. That's either with the Johnson & Johnson single dose or with the Pfizer or Moderna shots. That's incredible. We actually hit a record in the last couple of days, 4 million COVID vaccine doses in one day. That's pretty significant. So if you look at where we are right now, about 32% of the people have gotten at least the first dose. If you fast forward that on the current rate, we'll be to 70%. They say 70 to 90% is herd immunity. We'll be at 70% by June 14th, man. I mean, that's just right around the corner. So there's really a light at the end of the tunnel. And one other thing, then you can comment if you want. Mississippi's at 26% for first dose, 17% fully vaccinated. And the important number to me that I've been really watching is this doses administered. The doses they received, how many of those have been administered? Mississippi is at 67%. That's down slightly from a few weeks ago. I think it got popped out around in the mid to low 70s. But it's been hanging tough in that 67. That's important because if it continued to drop, that would indicate actually that less, we're getting the doses, we're not getting them out there, would mean that maybe more and more people are not getting the vaccine. And I do know people who are not getting the vaccine. I wish they would get the vaccine, but it looks like a healthy number are still continuing to get the vaccine. So when we come back, we'll get a few thoughts from Ashley Edwards from the Gulf Coast Business Council about why it's important to get the vaccine. This is really important. And then we'll move on to what's going on at the Business Council and then the other important things we can talk about. We'll be back after this break.
Coast View on Super Talk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's J. Allen at J. Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the J. Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the J. Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Super Talk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. Super Talk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on Super Talk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Ashley Edwards, the CEO from the Gulf Coast Business Council, with us. And when we went to break, we were talking about the importance of getting the vaccine. 106.2 million Americans have gotten the vaccine, and we're making tremendous progress to getting to herd immunity. But Ashley, it's really important for people to get the vaccine, isn't it?
It's so incredibly important. I don't think we can stress it enough. I know we hear PSAs out there everywhere about why you should get the vaccine. And, you and I have talked before, Ricky, about the fact that, online you see all of this misinformation and people saying the vaccine is dangerous, it hasn't been tested. And, there is something that people really have to understand about this. And, and don't take my word for it, go out, do the research. But, there are a lot of folks out there that are devoting their lives now to the study of information warfare. And a lot of these things that sort of undermine the vaccines, undermine the responses to the coronavirus, those are not coming from grassroots people. Those are, in many cases, are coming from America's adversaries. They use this, and and it's actually been well proven out there. There's lots of great State Department reports that have come out on it, but it's wading through all this misinformation, because at the end of the day, we are the only ones that will lose by not getting this vaccine widely distributed. Our economy, our businesses, our family members, employees, our own jobs. I mean, we're the ones that stand to lose from it, nobody else. And, I'm not a physician. You're not a physician, but we certainly have friends that are physicians, and we can see what the scientific consensus is. And, a lot of times people kind of gloss over that. They say, yeah, well, there's a scientific consensus. But when you have overwhelmingly close to 100% of all the physicians, scientists, vaccine organizations in the world that say these are tested, they're safe, they should be taken, it's time for us to maybe listen to that. And you think about the economic interest. If one of these vaccines was dangerous, in a capitalist economy like we have, there are so many competitors out there trying to also make vaccines that they would absolutely make sure that everybody knew, don't take this vaccine because it's not as good as ours. But that's not happening. I mean, the vaccine makers are saying, even if you can't take ours, go take a vaccine. It's important. So, to your point, if we can get this done by June, then we do have the potential here of having a normal, quote unquote, normal summer season. And for our businesses that have really been hurting throughout 2020, there's nothing that we could do that would be better for the region where we live, and frankly, for our own economic interest.
Well, I'm not a doctor like you, but we both read a bunch. And I had the benefit of having really, really smart physicians on my show. One of them, Dr. Nicholas Conger, and then Lee Bond from Singing River Health Systems, and large number of others who are professionals at this. And there is 100% consensus between the people that I talk to on a regular basis, and that is that if you don't get the vaccine, then what that could provide actually is a host site for the coronavirus mutation to take place. And we don't need that. I mean, the best way to shut this thing down is to get everybody vaccinated, so there's not a host site. The other point is, and you said this really well, but if someone posts something that says that the vaccine is poisonous, and then you go look at the comments and you can't find a single comment that says it's not poisonous, what that shows you is that the artificial intelligence of Facebook, by these foreign players or whoever's doing this, they're just using Facebook against us, which, the way it works is that when there's a conversation taking place on Facebook, It sees that there's engagement. It doesn't really try to validate the information, although they claim they're doing a better job at that, and they may be doing a better job at that. But still, the amount of false information on Facebook is unbelievable. So it gets posted. People start to see it. They start to get engaged around it. The way the artificial intelligence works, that if you were engaged in a conversation similar to that before, then it will bring you into that conversation. And what it does is it makes it appear that everyone agrees with you, and that's actually very dangerous when you're talking about the vaccine. It's very dangerous. So if you have been yeah, go ahead.
You just really want people to understand, the technology that's out there. These chat bots, these are robots that are responding in many cases to these posts to give agreement or to try to put out false data. And you think it's just people like you or I that are out there doing that. And folks are working very hard to influence American citizens' opinions. And the best thing that we can do is not let them win that by falling prey to it. I mean, this is as important as anything we talk about.
There's no doubt about that. It's the key to our economy. I went in my boat over to the Marina Cantina over the weekend. And you could just feel life coming back to coastal Mississippi, man. I mean, when you drive around, you feel it. People are going to the beach. Easter Sunday was just a beautiful day, just absolute world-class day here in coastal Mississippi. But, we just need to kind of spur this along, get the vaccine, help this thing, put this thing to bed. And the professionals continue to remind me that it's not going yet. There's still people that are getting COVID. You have to be careful. But if you've got the vaccine, if you've received the second dosage, and that I think that 2 weeks afterwards, after the second dosage, then you're pretty safe. And not to wear a mask unless, of course, the business where you're going requires it. And that's what the professionals are saying. Again, we're losing an opportunity on the national level to say that the reward you should be getting is not having to wear a mask if you get the vaccine. But we're still politicizing the mask to some extent, which is unfortunate. Okay, so we'll shift gears. Ashley, you are the chairman of the Gulf Coast Restoration Fund Advisory Committee, and now the legislature has funded their programs. Is your assessment that they did a better job this time of taking your advice? Or kind of what's the base your observation now that we know what's going to be funded?
Well, the sort of the primary observation is that they really doubled down on a lot of the projects that they had funded last year. The way that this is working right now is that, Mississippi Development Authority sort of views this as an annual appropriation. So if a project is appropriated money in 2020, but it doesn't start or doesn't draw down those funds, they would have to be reappropriated in 2021 for it to still go forward. It's not just sort of, you get appropriated once and then the money is always available to that project. So what we saw this year was that they reappropriated money to a lot of the projects last year that had not been funded. And then they actually, in some cases, actually reappropriated new additional dollars to those same projects. So the list is similar to what we saw last year. I did see a little bit of a theme in some of the new projects they selected that were more geared towards downtown revitalization. I've got some questions about, the nuts and bolts of those projects. I sort of live in a world where there are lots of good ideas, but, it has to be more than a good idea. It has to be a shovel-ready, financeable project in order to go forward. And I'm not always certain from what I can see in the bill, what exactly the pieces of those projects are. Obviously, hope is that they are far along. A lot of those we just did not review on the advisory committee. They never came through our process, so we're a little in the dark. Doesn't mean they're bad projects. Doesn't mean they won't do a lot of good. We just don't have any details about what they'll do.
I think it was Senator Bryce Wiggins who said this, and if it wasn't him, it's still an important comment. And it's the point of the intention of the bill was to fund transformational projects that would be the kind that would pay back for many years to come, as opposed to sort of a brick and mortar building in a city. To really engage private investment really is what we really would like to see, so we can push projects that may not otherwise have gone over the finish line, pushed them over the finish line because the state, through the BP funds, have a way of helping make the project viable. But I think he said this, that we're still having a difficult time, or we're still needing to define what transformational means. Do you agree with that?
Completely agree with that. And look, transformational is going to mean something different based on where you are. Transformational for Pascagoula is different than transformational for Biloxi. But we do need to at least have some local priorities to define what is transformational for them. And moreover, we need to have some measurements for that. We need to have some ability to look at these projects and understand what the return on investment is going to be. We need to start with a benefit cost analysis. What is the cost of doing this versus what is the ultimate benefit of doing it? And, those are not just sort of based on emotional reactions. I mean, that's a science. I mean, we can actually put hard numbers on some of this to determine, for every $1 of public money we put in, it's going to return $10 to the community over time, and it's going to leverage another $10 of additional private investment. I mean, those are the things that we need to be focused on, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. There's a way to do that. I wish we had a little bit more sophisticated system in place to do that. I'm very impressed with what they're doing in Florida, which with the similar funds that we have over in their Florida program, where they actually have that type of analysis going on, by third-party professionals. I'd love to see some of that in the process.
Well, let's continue this, because the people who are members of the advisory committee were appointed by the Speaker of the House, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor. And I'm interested to hear what kind of feedback are they asking for from the committee, and where do we go from here? We'll be back after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast View on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. 106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On Super Talk, Mississippi. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi. He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Mathews on Super Talk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Ashley Edwards with us. He's the CEO of the Gulf Coast Business Council. He's also the chairman of the advisory committee for the Gulf Coast Restoration Fund, which is essentially the BP money. There's a lot of pots of BP money, but this is the money that came back to the state as a result of the settlement we made, and we've got multiple years to be able to do really incredible things. So this is the second tranche of money that have gone out by the legislature. Will soon go out. They just closed the legislative session, so we have a sense of what those projects are. You know, my read on it is this: that they are not utilizing the committee as much as they need to. You guys are appointees by the speaker, the lieutenant governor, and the governor. You would think that they would come back to the committee because this is a really good the volunteer role, really good business people. You would think that they would plug into you guys to get your input on the project or the process. Once your advisory role is completed, kind of go off into the sunset, then they take it and run with it from there. My concern is that they're going to use the money too much for political purposes, just kind of spread it out to various counties and municipalities along the coast. You know, are they really focused on transformational projects? You know, we don't have enough information yet to know that. And Bryce may be right that we need to get together and define that better. I'm really focused on them being transformational. I'm really focused on trying to find where there are private funds, shovel-ready private projects where we can help sort of complete it. I've used this example many times because I think it's the best example that we can make, and that is in the new economy. We just start thinking about the creative class and building the kind of places they want to come to and want to live. That mixed use downtown is really a big part of this. And we had one project in Gulfport that got a little bit of money, not nearly what they asked for. Don't know where that project is at this point. I think there was another mixed use project in Pascagoula. But those are good examples of kind of building the kind of places where people who are part of the new economy want to live. And that's actually part of the strategic focus of the Gulf Coast Business Council, isn't it, Ashley? So that's the best example that I can give at this point. That's not to say that there aren't other examples of what transformational could be, but payback ought to be the number one indicator of whether we're going to invest the money or not. It's got to be a long-term payback. What's your thoughts about that?
Absolutely agree. Could not agree more. You know, that's the name of the game now. I mean, we have to rethink public policy when it comes to when it comes to public spending on some of these things. Because if we're not incentivizing a way to better position ourselves for what is going to be seen as, historically as the fourth industrial revolution. I mean, we're going through the early stages of that right now. And it's going to fundamentally change everything we know about local economies, about regional economies. And we have an incredible opportunity. There is no place in the country right now that has the kind of financial resources per capita that we have to invest here in these three coastal counties to prepare ourselves for that. And it's so incredibly important. Now, look, I think some of these projects could certainly be transformational, or they can be pieces of a larger transformational strategy. And you're right, the Business Council is very focused on that, but we can't do it alone. Our cities, our counties are going to have to get very focused on what transformational means to them. The legislators are going to have to take that into account. I don't want to be critical of the projects they funded. Local priorities are always there. There's never enough money to fund all the needs that are out there. Being a legislator is a tough job. But then on the same note, I see things like, putting an incredible amount of money to renovate the cafeteria in the George County Hospital. And I ask myself, how exactly is that supposed to be transformational for our economy? So, I think it's a mixed bag. I think there are some things that I certainly could do well. I think other things just look like local needs getting filled, and we need more of the first and less of the latter.
I know some leaders that who kind of threw their hands up after the bill was passed and had just the board as an advisory board, because many of them said at the moment that said, okay, we just made this a legislative process. We just had to ask the legislature to send 75% of the money down here. And then they put a loop in that says now legislatively they have to approve everything that's spent, which I guess that's not so bad if you would have a tighter connection between those evaluating the projects and those who are distributing the money. But if once you get the advisory role input and just set the advisory committee aside and then make it sort of a political process where people have to go up there and lobby for their projects. So as you pointed out, in the first round, wasn't it like 8 of 26 projects were passed through your committee? That means that all the others came around your committee. So it just seems that we're not getting the transformation that way. And what is it that Florida did that you were so impressed with?
Well, their committee structure was interesting in that they really had what I would call like a board of trustees that had incredible fiduciary responsibility to ensure return on investment, to ensure benefit cost analysis in their projects. Look, I understand the legislature. Ultimately, their constitutional authority is to hold the purse strings. I get that. They wanted to have that role. When we from the Business Council advocated for creating a board of trustees or some sort of an advisory committee in the end, when we knew that the legislature wanted to keep it internal, we did that because we wanted to make sure that there was a voice for the coast, that there was a way to publicly vet some of these projects. And part of it's not necessarily that the advisory board has all the right ideas, but you have a diverse group of people with great backgrounds that really understand what the needs are. And the real advantage of it is it takes place in open meetings and open forums in public. Everybody can see what's been applied for. Everybody can see where the money's going to go. And I think that the real travesty of the process is that the legislature set up the process to have this advisory board. And now, the process is being circumvented because, in some ways you could actually argue that an applicant is, it's sort of not in their best interest to go through our process because it's very open and public and they have to put their cards face up on the table about who's getting the money and where it's going to go and how it's going to be spent, with projects that never come before us and they're just lobbying the legislatures directly. We don't necessarily have that on the front end. So again, it's certainly possible for a good transformational project to be achieved both ways, but we're just at an information disadvantage, a little bit of an asymmetry there on the back end when we don't know what the project is.
What the Gulf Coast Business Council should do with the lieutenant governor, the governor, and the speaker is say, the one thing you can do that will improve this process, because what we need to do is we need to make it tighter and better as we go on. Okay, we're not necessarily criticizing anything. We're in a place we've never been before, okay? And we got years to, we don't have years to get this right, but we've got years to make investments that could be very significant for coastal Mississippi. What we need to do is we need to make sure that at the very least, every single project must go through this advisory committee or we will not look at it. That's what they should do. They're allowing people to circumvent, and that's where the politics are coming in. So then these municipalities or counties or private investors are going directly to the lieutenant governor and, lobbying him directly. Yeah, I think, that's the way the process is set up right now. But it seems to me that to validate the projects and with focus on improving the process and empowering these very good business people that have been accumulated in this advisory group and appointed by the big three, I might add, that we're empowering them to help us improve the process. But there's not that loop there right now. And so if I were the business council, that one change would probably improve things greatly. It would probably improve things greatly. They leave it the way it is, they might as well just abolish the advisory committee because it's not getting where they need to go, and that's not good for anybody. I will never advocate that. Actually, we need it. We need the rigor, the evaluation, the transparency that having an advisory committee brings to a process like this to make it the best it can be. And I hope that they're paying attention to that. I really do. We're going to shift gears. What's on your mind about the business council these days, Ashley?
Well, exactly what we just talked about is kind of in the forefront right now. But I will tell you, I'm really excited. We have a meeting of our executive committee coming up, and our executive committee is composed of, well-placed CEOs, community leaders across the coast that represent a lot of economic activity, a lot of employees, and we're doing some strategic planning. So we're really sort of talking about what do we want to try to accomplish in the next 2 years, and moreover, how do we measure it? How can we measure it and hold ourselves accountable to make sure that these things are actually occurring? And so we actually have that coming up the end of this week. So I'm really excited about that. And we're going to be talking about a lot of the same things that you and I are talking about. Our focus right now is absolutely on this idea of our evolving regional economy. How do we position ourselves for more sustainability, for more success? How can we influence public funding in such a way that it's going towards real community investments that will have payoff? How do we then leverage that into getting more private investment, creating more jobs, more opportunities? I mean, that's really what we're doing here. And, we all have a role to play. I mean, just like we were talking about earlier about the legislators, it's probably easy for someone to listen to me and say, well, he's being critical of the legislators. And I'm really not. I understand, having worked in Jackson for the better part of 25 years, I mean, I understand the job that they have to go up there to do, and they have to bring home resources to their constituency and their home district, and they have a lot of people that are asking them for things. But it's also the responsibilities of the cities and counties to figure out what those priorities are, so that when we go and make those asks to the legislature, they're able to say, yeah, that makes good sense. That project has been well vetted and well thought out, and it has a good ROI.
Well, we'll continue this conversation. It's important to coastal Mississippi. When we come back, I'm actually interested in what Ashley is grateful for. Also, what makes him happy. We'll talk about that as well. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam, as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Pot, come on, it's time for me to go beat Elvis." And he stood up, and a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to the final segment of Coast View. We have Ashley Edwards, CEO of the Gulf Coast Business Council. Last week, Ashley, on Thursday and Friday, we have days of gratitude. We actually carried that into yesterday, where we had Brian and Marie Sanderson and three incredible businesses they funded through their nonprofit Mississippi 30-Day Fund. It was just a great visit. I enjoyed it so much. But we all talked about what we're grateful for. And, you know, COVID has a way of kind of centering us in the things that really matter in our lives. When you boil everything away and just sit in the quietness of your thoughts, what are you most thankful for?
You know, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I'm actually thankful for getting older. You know, I feel like, I really do feel like as the older I get, and the more I sort of learn about the world and have experience under my belt, the easier it is essentially becoming for me. I start to understand things more. And, you know, 2020 was a tough year. I mean, all of us really saw the incredible benefits of our health and being healthy, because when you lose that, you really don't have anything left. And there's just been so many reminders throughout 2020. But, you know, I'm extremely thankful for my wife, just a salt of the earth woman, keeps me very grounded. And, you know, and the time that I got to, you know, the additional time I got to spend with her. I mean, during 2020, you know, working remotely and things like that. I mean, you know, we've lived a life where, you know, we see each other in passing in the morning, getting ready to get out the door. And then, you know, as we're trying to get homework done and dinner cooked and things like that at night, by the time that you lay down in bed, you're so tired you have little time to talk. So, you know, the relationships that you know, that have strengthened as a result of that I think are really important to me. And I will just add one other thing that's maybe not as important to a lot of folks, but baseball season's back. I'm a huge Braves fan, and baseball season is back as of last Thursday. And just, you know, being able to mindlessly watch a good pitching performance is something that's a quality of life thing for me. I love baseball.
Well, the musician Bonnie Raitt said this about getting wiser as we get older. She said, "Life gets mighty precious when there's life gets mighty precious when there's less of it to waste." You know, and there's something to be said for that. But, you know, there is a lot to be said for getting, you know, wise, you know. And how do you get wise? You gotta go out there and you gotta make moves. You gotta be willing to take risks. You gotta volunteer in the community. You gotta be willing to have people criticize you, which, it's interesting that has to come with being a volunteer in the community, but that's just the way it is. But someone also once said this: the one who falls and gets up is much stronger than the one who never fell. If I look back in my life, Ashley, and the things that I did, particularly toward the end of my career, I found that the things that made me happy in my career, the things that made me happy in my career, often had with it tremendous responsibility. It's tremendous responsibility. It might have been on sort of transformational digital media efforts that I was involved in. If it was, leading the oil recovery effort, planning effort for Governor Riley over in Alabama, it seemed to me the things that I enjoyed the most had lots of responsibility and was, very public, which obviously meant that in this day of social media, you had to expose yourself to criticism. But isn't that interesting? Because I think as you get wiser, you see things different. That goes back to this point that John Harrison said about being involved in the community. And you and I've talked about this before as well, that you don't just decide you're going to go lead United Way or lead the Gulf Coast Business Council. You got to do your reps. You got to get started somewhere, and succeed and fail and flex muscles you've never flexed before, and you work your way up. But there's a lot of truth to this whole comment that you made about, getting wiser, that there's some happiness in just getting wiser, isn't there?
Look, I'm thankful for every mistake I've ever made because they were all tremendous lessons. And in a lot of cases, I'm glad that I made them early and was able to learn from them, and I will make plenty more. I mean, I'm very tough on myself. I think we live in a culture that makes us be our own biggest critics sometimes. And, we all have that to some extent, but life is a learning process, and I've learned a lot of hard lessons. But on the same note, as you learn them, you're able to approach each day a little bit better. And I'm a big fan of the word intentional. It's a common word, but we got to be more intentional about the way we live our lives. We have to stop leaving so much to chance or coincidence and start getting real intentional. Intentional about the words we say, intentional about the thing, intentional about the way we treat other people.
Well, hey, listen, man, I can't agree more. I had a conversation with a woman she was vice president of human resources for Knight Ridder. We're coming to the end of the segment. Her name is Mary Jean Connors. Terrific. We're still friends on Facebook today. And one time we just had a conversation about the power of nice, just being nice. And how people are drawn to that. One day we're just going to have a conversation about that, about, how did nice get, well, first of all, the one thing about Mississippi is that we have a lot of nice people in Mississippi. Social media makes people not nice. And is that important? Are there, for every person that's not nice, or there are 1,000 more that are nice that just aren't expressing themselves? We tend to overweigh the what we get from the social media feedback. But with all that said, here's the last quote of the day. Every morning you have two choices: continue to sleep with your dreams or wake up and chase them. And most of the happy people and most successful people I know, they chase their dreams and never were satisfied, always looking for the next dream. Anyway, Ashley Edwards, it's been a pleasure to meet with you, and we'll see you soon. Okay, buddy?
Ricky, thank you. It's always a pleasure, and you're doing a great service for our coast. So thank you for all the work you do.
I appreciate it, man. It's been great. We'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.